Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've had a good week. I've had a rather productive one. Please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Remember, a kitten drowns every time you don't hit that like, comment, and subscriber button. Are you a cat murderer? Then hit like, comment, and subscribe. Let's go ahead and get started on another episode of Low Spec Labs. This is Chapter 4 of Sander Van Voigt's RHCSA EX200. Let's get started. We're going to go ahead and start with the less command. Thankfully, I've already gone over most of these topics in YouTube shorts / TikToks, so I'll be using those to discuss things as we dive deeper. This seems to be a pretty good format. If you want me to change things up, leave a comment below, and I might. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started with the less command. That is the first topic that's covered in the chapter. So let's dive deep. So on Linux, the number one thing you'll be doing is working with text files. One of the commands for that is less. Let's talk about less. In layman's term, the less command is an interactive utility for text files. Let's walk through an example. Let's do less /etc passwd. And as you can see, it lists all the passwords on this system. Now let's walk through a lab where we dig into using the less command a little bit more. Let's get started. This is lab 4-1, basic less skills. We have our favorite Linux session pulled up here. This is Alma Linux. Step 1, less/etc passwd. This opens up the passwd file. Let's search for all the occurrences of root in this file. If we do /root, you'll see all the references to root have been highlighted. So you can use / to search for things and less. What if we want to go to the last line of the file? That's simple enough. We hit G and it takes us to the end. What if we want to quit less? Well, that's easy. We use Q. Another thing you can do is pipe the output of other commands into less. So if we were to do psaux, which lists all the programs running on our system, and then we were to pipe it into less, you can see we now can scroll through that. And then on top of that, we can also search like normal, and we can do something like SSH. And you can see it shows us SSHD is right here, and it is process 1161. So now that we've gone over the less utility, let's talk about the other Linux utilities a bit more. Let's talk about head, tail, and less once again. We're going to do another Linux video today. We're going to talk about cat, head, and tail. When I say cat, I don't mean this cute little guy down here. When I say cat, I mean this, the Linux command line utility. So let's talk about cat, head, and tail and what they do. So what is cat? Cat is a application that prints the output of a file directly to your command line. So if we were to do cat/etc passwd, you'd see it just prints everything in the passwd file directly to our terminal command line. So what is head? Head is another command line utility that we use to print out text files. So head prints out the first 10 lines of a text file. Let's look at an example. And as you can see, the first 10 lines of etc passwd got printed out. So that leaves, last but not least, tail. What is tail? Tail is the opposite of head. Instead of reading the first 10 lines, it reads the last 10 lines. So if we were to do tail/etc passwd, you'd see it's printing out the last 10 lines of passwd. Now let's walk through another lab where we'll play with all those utilities. This episode is exercise 4-2 for those following along in Sander Van Voigt's book. We are doing head, less, and tail exercises. Let's get started. The first thing they want us to do is use the tail-f command, which is for continuous update /var log. And what this does is it gives us a lav update of error messages on our current host. So it's telling us we're having some issues with our virtual cursor here, which is perfectly fine. We then hit Control-C to quit. Something to note with the head command is that you can use the -n flag to limit the number of lines head prints out. So if you were to do head-n5/etc passwd, you'll see it only lists the first 5 lines of etc passwd. You can also use it to expand the number of lines in head as well. With the tail command, the -n flag works much the same way. You can use tail-n/etc passwd, and it will only print out the last 5 lines of that file for you. You can also do stuff like pipe head into tail. So if we were to do head -n5/etc passwd, and then pipe that into tail -n1, you'd see it only lists the very last line of what should have been the head command. So to verify that, we do head/etc. To verify that, we do head-n5/etc passwd. And you can see this line is the same thing as this line down here. And now let's learn some information about the cut command. This is another utility that is useful to know. So, hello again. I know you're tired of hearing my voice. Don't worry, you'll be hearing it for a long time. Anyways, let's talk about cut. What is the cut command? Well, the cut command on Linux can be used to filter through text files and cut out specific fields of those text files for easier reading. We'll use etc passwd as our example, and let's get started. So first we want to see what fields are in etc passwd. To do that, we do tail-n1/etc passwd. As you can see, we have a couple different fields. Let's say we want to get the first field, this one, out of the passwd file. Then after that, let's go ahead and try to extract this field. So there's our first field, and our delimiter, or what we use to separate our fields, is colon. So for us to extract the first field out of this, we would do cut, and we define our delimiter, which is colon, and then we do field 1, and then we point it to our file, and there we go. It shows all the entries for the first field of that file. So this is very useful if we just want to find all the names in this file, all the usernames in the passwd file. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time. Okay, so now that we know what head, tail, and less do, let's talk about the sort command. So we just learned about the cut command. That's all fine and dandy. But what about sorting that information? Wouldn't that be very useful if we could sort things? Thankfully, there's a command for that, and that command is called sort. It should be noted that sort sorts things using the ASCII2 alphanumeric table. That is different from alphabetically. For instance, uppercase characters will appear first before lowercase characters. So if we were to sort, zoo with a capital Z would appear before zoo with a lowercase z. You can of course pipe cut into sort. Let's get a little fancy here. What we can do, for instance, is do tail-n5/etc passwd. Then we can send that into cut-d-f1. And then we can also send that into sort from, I see what I did. I took the third field. So we pulled the first field of cut, and you can see it lists all the names sorted alphanumerically, right? Now let's talk about the word count command. This is another useful one for you to count both lines, words, and characters in a text file. More specifically, the WC command. What is the WC command? Well, it's used to count the number of words in a text file. Let's dive into that a little bit more. So what happens when we run the WC command against something like etc passwd? Well, then we get 3 different results. So the first result shows us the number of lines total in the file. The second result shows us the number of words total in the file. And the third result shows us the number of characters total in the file. And then of course it shows us what file we're running the command against. Thank you for watching another episode of Low Spec Labs. This is part 1 of chapter 4. The next video should be out in the next couple days where I go into regex. I decided to split that video up into 2 sections because regex is actually a rather long and complicated topic, and this video would be about 30 minutes long. So tune back in next time.